News that's coming in at the moment. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has landed at the Imphal airport. The itinerary has been changed because of bad weather. Prime Minister Modi is now en route to Churachandpur by road. Churachandpur is where it was the epicenter of the ethnic clashes that took place 2 years ago. Prime Minister Modi at the moment en route to Churachandpur. He's landed at the Imphal airport. Itinerary has been changed because of bad weather. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's full-day tour of 3 northeastern states. Prime Minister Modi already was in Mizoram. In Mizoram, he flagged off 3 trains. One of them is the Rajdhani Express, which will now be connecting the national capital with Imphal. Cargo train will also start in Mizoram very soon. My colleague Ashutosh Mishra is now joining me from Manipur. Ashutosh, very critical. In fact, Ashutosh is joining me from Churachandpur. This has been the epicenter of where the clashes took place. Ashutosh, you were back there in 2022. You were an eyewitness to the kind of clashes that took place. Fast forward almost 2 years now, we are seeing Prime Minister Narendra Modi coming to Manipur and meeting with some of the people who have been displaced when the violence took place.
And that's why this northeastern state visit by the Prime Minister, what makes most significant is the visit to Manipur. Remember, there have been criticism by the opposition at large, the people, that why it's been 2 years Prime Minister is not visiting. Today, he is making a visit, and not just one part of the capital, Imphal, but he's visiting the 2 different regions of Manipur. Now, Churachandpur, where I am at the moment, let me show you the preparations that is being done. And since a few minutes ago, Prime Minister just landed to Imphal, you rightly said the itinerary has been changed, and now Prime Minister is traveling via road from Imphal to Churachandpur. The total distance is around 60 kilometers. So it would take around 30 to 35 minutes. So maybe in few minutes, Prime Minister will be reaching to Churachandpur. Here, as we know, there is some foundation that will be done by the Prime Minister, the project worth around 7,000 crores. But more than it is the project or the infrastructure, and I've been speaking to the people so far, and ever since we have been connecting to these people who have been victim of the ethnic clashes in Manipur, the Churachandpur, remember, one of the worst affected, and if I could show you, just barely 200 meters at the centenary gate, that mark where we have seen the caskets were placed by the people, those who have lost their life, their family members. They made even a wall of remembrance at this area, and this is exactly the iconic ground, just barely a few hundred meters, where the Prime Minister will be addressing the people. He'll be meeting, so along with the laying foundation for the infrastructure project, he'll be meeting the IDPs, the internally displaced people. Now remember, the victims were at both the sides. When the houses were burned, the people were being killed. Many of these young boys, the men, they picked up arms, they made their bunkers, and the foothill areas become the borders, the buffer zone, the line of control between 2 communities. The one state, one district was literally divided. Now we see there is no gun battle, it's all peace, it's all calm prevailing. But the tension that grips with the major question looming around, that how you gonna bridge that gap between 2 communities. If I could just pan the camera on the other side, still the people, those who are willing to wish to meet the Prime Minister, because he is here to meet the people. We are seeing in a huge number, men, women, young children. In fact, these barricading that you see on the road was actually with the previous itinerary that Prime Minister from Imphal will be landing to Churachandpur, and through this road he'll be taking a road show, and all these people in the hilly areas, they'll be waving and greeting the Prime Minister. But because of the weather plate spoil, it's massively raining for last 3 to 4 hours. The Prime Minister changed the schedule. He landed at Imphal, and from Imphal via Bishnupur, via Toibang, all these areas he'll be reaching to Churachandpur. When he'll be meeting the displaced people, then he'll further go to Imphal in the valley at Kangla Fort, the very iconic place of Manipur. Then there also he'll meet the victims, the IDPs from the other communities. Now remember, when this all arsenal, the violence that started, the people were affected, be it the Meiteis in the hilly areas or the Kuki, Zo communities in the Meitei areas. So that marks a significance, because ultimate need for the Manipur at the moment is to bridge the gap between community. Now if I tell you, the people, those who are living like Zoomies and Cookies, if they have to travel to Delhi even for the medical emergency, they are not able to travel to Imphal. They are not able to travel Imphal 60 kilometers, which takes 45 minutes, and from flight another 2 hours they'll be able to reach the emergency health services. All the way they have to go to Imphal via crossing the hilly terrains, which marks around 12 to 13 hours. That's a situation for more than 2 hours. Their supplies have been affected. The supplies are coming via different routes. So all this makes extremely difficult, and moreover, there is a security concern and threat for the people. They don't feel safe, be it the people in the valley coming to the hill areas or the people in the hill to the valley areas. So what it makes extremely important that after Prime Minister visit, now there is already, the government was replaced. There's a precedent rule have been imposed that at least now there will be more and more effort to bridge the gap, bring the harmony of the people together, ensure security of the communities if they are traveling from one to another. And if that happens, Manipur will see the peace and brotherhood that it has been known for.
Right, Ashutosh, please stay on with me. Let's now tell our viewers what exactly Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been doing through the course of the day and what the central government is trying to do with regards to the northeastern states. Prime Minister Narendra Modi all set to visit Manipur today. This in fact is his first visit since the ethnic clashes tore through the state 2 years ago in 2023. He will later be travelling to Assam, and this is part of his day-long tour of the northeastern states. Prime Minister Modi has already landed in Imphal, but because of the bad weather conditions, he is now travelling to Churachandpur, where he will be laying the foundation stone for multiple projects worth 7,000 crore rupees. Prime Minister Modi will also be inaugurating projects worth 1,200 crore rupees. With this, he will conclude his visit in Guwahati in Assam. There is a special event marking the 100th birth anniversary of Bharat Ratna, Dr. Bhupen Hazarika. There is also a lot of politics which is taking place. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, in fact, has hit out at Prime Minister Narendra Modi and is alleging that Prime Minister allowed so many innocents to be killed in the northeastern violence, and added that Prime Minister Modi should have visited the state long ago. Even Rahul Gandhi, who is the leader of the opposition in Lok Sabha, said Manipur has been in turmoil for many years. He is now saying Prime Minister Modi's trip at this moment is no big deal.
I'm glad that he has decided after 2 years that it's worth him visiting. He should have visited much long before. And it's very unfortunate that he has allowed what is happening there to happen for so long, and so many people to get killed and so many people to go through so much strife before he has decided to visit. That's not been the tradition of prime ministers in India. Right through, no matter which party they were, wherever there was pain, wherever there was suffering, they would go. And that has been the tradition since independence. So he's fulfilling it after 2 years. I think he should have thought of it before.
My colleague Ashutosh is with me on the story. He said Manipur, he in fact is in Churachandpur. That was the place which became the epicenter of those very violent clashes. Ashutosh, you were also mentioning about the fact that connectivity is a big problem in Manipur, and with these kind of projects that are coming up, one of the things, and this will be good for everyone who stays in the northeastern part of our country, the connectivity boost actually will help them in a big way. Also an economic boost, Ashutosh.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, economically, if we say in the hilly area, there are barely jobs. The people do in a construction work, that's what they do for their living. Now, what happens if they have to travel to Delhi, as I said, the Imphal is hardly 60 kilometers. Ever since the ethnic clashes started, the people had to travel from the Kuki, from the Zo, all these areas, the tribal people from the hilly terrains, they had to go all the way to Aizawl, to the neighboring state Mizoram, because all the supplies essentially were coming from Mizoram, because the supply line, the national highway was literally blocked for more than a year. In fact, Manipur was perhaps one state that became an example of how in one state, one district, there were literally no man's land, buffer zone, line of control were drawn. The people from that side do not come here, people from this side do not come there. And in that case, all these people from this terrain were going Aizawl to board a flight for the education purpose, and if any connectivity that was essentially required for them to travel beyond Manipur was way through all the way to Aizawl. The barely road is 300 to 400 kilometers, but that was taking more than 1200, 13 hours. Now with this infrastructure project, the connectivity will ease. Further, the infrastructure will ease, and that will create jobs, employment, and other opportunity for these people.